Let me tell you something about that voice right there you just heard. Yes, this man is an executive producer. Yes, this man is a director. Yes, this man has worked in television for over 20 years. I know it because I was there.
You was there.
I was there.
You was there.
I recall working on MTV's TRL as a younger man and being shocked when I saw someone who looked like me in the production studio.
Talk about it.
And he was told not to speak to me.
What?
That part.
He was told not to speak to me. And I didn't understand why when I walked by this young man and I would give him energy, he seemed reluctant to give it back. And then finally I pulled up on him. And what did I say?
Listen, man, it ain't too many of us here.
That's Callaway.
So my name is Sway.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
And man, and from that we forged a bond that's been decades in the making. We've executive produced projects together. This is my go-to guy. When I got my first look production deal with MTV, he's one of the first people I called and said, hey, let's make some things happen. And we've since done documentaries like Shine.
Yes, sir.
We've been talking about this doc we're doing called We Are the Medicine. We got a slew of other projects that's coming out through our production companies. When you saw Yo MTV Raps return, the resurrection of Yo MTV Raps, he's the captain of that ship. He's the man that produced that show and brought it back, including TRL, Fresh Out Fridays that you could watch on MTV. You could have watched him on Fuse. He was a pillar on Fuse, bringing hip-hop into the Fuse network. There's so many different things that he's done. I'm really proud of him for his new book, The 10 Dad Commandments, Fatherhood Through a Hip-Hop Lens. I need all dads to call up right now, 888-74. If you're a dad, call up, 888-742-3345. Please welcome my good friend Esteban Serrano is here, man.
Hey.
Esteban!
Listen.
Welcome.
Listen.
Dude.
My God, man. This is such a dream. It's such an honor to be here, man.
Come on, man. We work together all the time.
I know, man. We work together behind the scenes.
Right,
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, it's just different, man. It's different to be in front of the mic, sharing the space with the morning show. You know what I'm saying?
Why the hell were you not allowed to say hi to Sweat?
So I was an intern at the time. So,
Okay.
there's a very strict. Interns are not allowed to talk to talent. You know what I mean? And just for the backstory, they really, really tried not to let me in the building at all.
Wow.
Like I went to a college that I found in the back of the Source magazine. It really wasn't that credible.
Okay.
I was in Philly. I lived in Philly, and I commuted to New York every day. All of the reasons why I really wasn't qualified to be in the space. So I told them, look, give me a week, and if you hear anything or if I let anybody down, I'm out.
Yeah.
But let me fail on my own without you telling me all the reasons why I'm going to fail.
Right.
So when he was, showing love, I was like, bruh, I'm in here like on a shoestring. I can't set off any alarms. So, that was why they were like, yo, don't be talking to nobody.
Yeah.
Keep your head down and just work.
Wow. And look at the career you built now.
What year was that, bro?
That was 04.
That was 04. It's 2023. See, I was up in there rebelling. I used to walk around the office as the black man is God with a deep voice. I remember them days. But I also knew, I felt like my interpretation of that is they didn't want us to communicate because of the information I might bring or the information you may bring. And then we'll, form a collective. And now we're swapping information and secrets about how things function on that side of corporate America. We gone on to do a lot of amazing things. I just want to say I salute you. We also have a brotherhood. See my cousin Nee over there, she's there. That's a grown woman crew, a grown woman gang, basically.
GWC.
All right, and so if I had a grown man gang, he would be a part of it. Like
nice.
We confide in each other on every level, so including parenthood. Both of us being fathers, we swap a lot of stories and scenarios. And reading your book, man, I met your amazing kids. He has amazing kids, they're extremely talented, and you have amazing upbringing. I feel like your father played a major role in the kind of father you are today.
Heavy.
Talk about that.
Yeah, man. My dad, man, is one of the most amazing, not only just fathers, but human beings on planet Earth, right? So one of my favorite moments when I was growing up, my mom and my dad were separated. They weren't married. They broke up after I was born because I have a twin sister. My dad, Puerto Rican from North Philly, 2 black women from West Philly, like blocks away from each other, pregnant at the same time. He was out. He was the original Lil Wayne. He was out here. He was the original Nick Cannon. You know what I'm saying? But so
not the wow from
he was wild. But yeah. So I remember during that time, like I was seeing him on the weekends, and at the time, my mother and I was maybe about 5 or 6 years old. My mother and I moved from West Philly to South Philly, but she wanted me to go to school in West Philly because that's where our family was. So after school, my grandparents can get me, whatever. So we would take a bus, a subway, and then a bus to get me to school. Damn. And then my mom would take a bus and the subway back to go to work. So when my dad got me on the weekends, I was up at like 5:30 a.m. every morning. So when he got me on the weekend, I just was sleeping. Mm-hmm. And my dad is like, yo, he talked to my mom. He's like, yo, why is he like no fun? Like he's on the weekend and he just sleeps all day long. And my mom explained to him, we live in South Philly, blah, blah, blah. The next week he pulled up with a car. He bought my mom a car.
Wow.
And mind you, he's moving in he was moving in with his girlfriend at the time. Mm-hmm. And he had another baby mom. He bought my mother a car so that she could move around with me, so that the time that he and I spent together would be quality.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying?
Great dad right there.
And that's the bar that I got to live up to, you know what I mean, as a father. So, and a lot of my stories with him are in this book. And that one isn't in there, actually.
Yeah.
But that's the type of dude that I grew up under.
You call this the 10 dad, I hear these stories, so your dad is amazing. The 10 dad commandments, fatherhood through the lens of hip hop. Let's go over some of the commandments.
Ooh, let's do it.
Okay, and then fathers, call up. Commandment number 1.
Number 1, most important.
Know your role.
Know your role.
What is a father?
You cannot fulfill a role that hasn't been defined.
Right.
Okay.
So if you don't know what those responsibilities are, what those tasks that you need to be over are, how you going to do a great job? Yeah. So I wanted to first and foremost lay that foundation out. And also I want to dispel a lot of myths about fatherhood. Dad's the ruler. He's the, he get the big chair, the big piece of chicken. Everyone bends to dad's will. The dad that I was under and the father that I am, we are servants. We're the last to eat. We're the last to go to sleep at night until everyone is comfortable, safe in their bed. So I wanted to paint that picture as well. So that's really what that chapter is all about. Knowing your role. Forget what you heard or what you saw. This is who we are responsible for being as fathers, as head of the households.
Okay. Commandment number 2, watch the company you keep.
Ooh, when you cut the grass, you watch the snakes, slibble out the garden. Yeah, man, I feel like fatherhood, especially for me, was a great excuse to evaluate my company and see who was adding value and who wasn't adding value. But also, who do I want to have access to my sons?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We all got them homies that think it's funny to tell your kid about, relationships with the opposite sex and all. If that's not the narrative, or if that's not the information I want them to have, then I don't want them to get that from you when you just playing around, but they're sponging everything in.
Absolutely.
And what I also feel like, and a lot of people may not be aware of this, if I meet someone through you, I'm holding them to the standard that I hold you to.
Got it.
So if you playing around joking and my impressionable child, now think he need to have 4 or 5 girlfriends, then that's on me because I gave him access. So watch the company that you keep for sure.
So when it comes to friends, then, would you suggest having a conversation with your friends that are especially not dads and who may not have that definition of fatherhood? Would you suggest telling them some of the boundaries that you want to keep of your children?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But for me, it was like I kind of I have like my crews in my circles.
Yep.
So like I have a dope tribe of men who are allowed access to my sons. And we don't even have to have a conversation. Like, you know, in the book I talk about my homies will check me if I'm wrong in my fathering approach to something. Or they have no problem in front of me checking my son if they're out of line, you know, about something. Because that's just who we are and that's how we move anyway. My father, another story, he was the only present father in my neighborhood. Like the only one that was there. I remember we were eating dinner one night and we got a knock at the door. A friend of mine, his mother brought him to my house and asked my father to discipline him.
What?
Yeah.
I read that in the book, I feel like. Yeah.
Because my dad was the only father in my whole neighborhood. Like, so I grew up with that sense of if you're a man and there's a child within your vicinity, your role is to parent that kid if needed, or at least to be a role model for that kid. So like my tribe all come from that cloth.
Okay. Let me get through these other ones, all right? So commandment number 3 is protect.
So this is one of my favorites because we all know about physical protection. But the big part of that chapter for me is teaching my sons how to protect their peace. That's paramount. My kids, they'll engage with each other at length, but my kids aren't going to engage with someone else who they know is not there to, you know, is there to just trying to trigger them or trying to, you know, goat them into something. Their peace is far more important and paramount than any interaction.
He got beautiful kids too. I just watched them play. They're in a band. They're very talented guys. I told them when they win awards, don't forget their Uncle Sway. All right. Commandment number 4, the 10 dad commandments. Commandment number 4, action. Get involved.
Yeah, man. A big part of my early fatherhood, and this speaks to that clip you played before we started interviewing of my failures. I was a present physically, but absent father. And you can be that. You can be physically in the crib, but not really spending that one-on-one time. I heard a statistic the other day that said parents nowadays only get 35 minutes a day with their kid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like between commuting and work and food and when they come home and cook, whatever, they only spend that little bit of time with their kids. So, you know, my wife was really heavy with pushing that.
In the chapter, she actually said to you, you give the best part of yourself to your work, and then we get the remains, right?
Bro, that's buckled me when that woman, and shout out to my wife. She has an amazing gift of how to communicate without emasculating. Like she challenges me in ways that make me want to be better, and that was one of them. And she knows how to talk to me because she knows that my heart is obviously to give my family the best of me. But if I'm leaving the crib and I'm at MTV and I'm giving them all this energy, and when I come home I'm like, then my family is, you know, which is my number one priority. I have to show that with my actions. Okay.
Commandment number 5. There's a lot of dads on the line too, so I want to get to them. So I'm gonna move a little faster.
Rap dads, what up?
This is good.
Commandment number 5 and 6. 5 is love, empathy, and compassion. 6 is lead by example. Start with 5.
Okay, so yeah, in that chapter for me, it was really about laying out all of the ways that we are to love. So, and one of the big ones in there is affection. Men have sometimes a challenge with being affectionate toward their male child. And, you know, me having all sons, I remember when my dad, when I was growing up, like he would kiss me and I would be like, get off me, you know, get away from me. But, and I said like, I'm never going to kiss my kids when I have sons. And all I had was sons. And like, I was reading that, you know, there's so many benefits to physical interaction. Like, you know, one of the things that happened the other day, my son and I, we kind of got into it. And I just hugged him. And he melted in my arms and started crying. Because physical touch it reduces stress, it reduces blood pressure, it releases oxytocin in your brain, which is the bonding. You know what I mean? Like, so it's so many benefits to actually being showing physical love to your children. So I wanted to really, you know, for the men who were going to read that, I wanted them to take that away. Like, don't think of it as like, oh, I ain't got to show my son love. You know, I ain't got to hug him. I don't have to hold him. think about what you're not giving them by omitting that part of you.
Okay, wow. And that goes into lead by example.
Yeah, man. And I lead by example for me is heavy, especially when it comes to admitting your failures, admitting you're wrong. You know, like my dad would blow up at me, but, you know, if he was a little too stern, he would come and tell me, look, I'm sorry that, you know, I reacted that way. And it made him human. Like, you know, our children at times, they look at us. We feed them. We take care of them. You know, sometimes we are larger than life to them. But we have to show them that they're, you know, we make mistakes. We need to be owning up to our mistakes. We need to be responsible for them and be accountable to them. But these are a part of life. You're going to make them. I'm going to make them. It's natural, but it's how you respond to it.
Okay. You're doing a great job, by the way, man. Okay, all right.
Damn,
you're making this easy, but I'm going to have to speed it up a little bit, okay? Commandment to 10 dad commandments. Commandment number 7 is discipline. Number 8 is be human. Go for it.
All right, discipline. Discipline does not mean beating your children. Discipline is also, there's another definition of it, of about, you know, how you should be. Your kids need structure. So how you structure is also discipline. And I also want to say this because we want to move fast. Explain to your children why they're being disciplined. Because if you're beating your child and they don't understand why, you're abusing them.
Yep.
Period. And so be human. For me, being human is kind of more along those lines of, you know, showing them the reality of your life. Like we are not doing anything. We're not doing our children justice if we send them out here with a false understanding of reality.
Okay.
Come on.
Number 9 is keep an open mind. And number 10 is have faith. The 10 dad commandments.
Keep an open mind. For me, I have this amazing vision of what I wanted my sons to be. They were going to be the saviors of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like my oldest son is an amazing producer. My middle son is the greatest MC you'll never hear. And my youngest son at the time, he was just a hype man. He wore a cape and they would perform and they would kill it. And then one day they came and was like, we don't want to rap no more.
Wow.
And it crushed my heart. But the music that they make now is truly who they are. Yeah. So I had to be open-minded enough to allow them to live their lives and not live my dream of their lives. And honestly, my dream is for them to be who they are called to be. You know what I mean? I really believe that parents are a vehicle. God gave us these children because he has a vision for them and knew that we would be a great mentor for them along their journey that he set out for them to achieve. So I'm not God. I'm not going to tell you which direction you should be going. I'm just here to nurture you along your way for your interests, to protect you and make sure that you're headed in the right direction. And so the last one is have faith. We always think that when our kids are in our presence that we can protect them from certain things. I remember I took the job with Chris Brown. I lived with him for 6 months working on the Fame album. And
thank you.
I got it out. That's amazing. All right. Anyway, so when I lived there with him, my first day on the job, I got to Miami. I walked into my hotel room and I was knocked to my knees. And I heard God say, now you have to trust me. Because before I was always in arm's reach. I was a quick cab away from them. If God forbid anything happened. Now I'm states away. I can't mobilize as fast. But then it dawned on me that I was never in control. I always had to have faith in some way, shape, or form that God was going to cover them and that they were going to be taken care of when they're not in my sight. I'm not a doctor. My kid choked on a grape. I'm not going to be able to save his life anyway. Yeah. So have faith.
Have faith. Wow, man. This is my man Esteban Serrano. The 10 Dad Commandments, Fatherhood Through a Hip-Hop Lens. This book is available now. Where?
Right now. It's available everywhere, but get it from me because it'll be cheaper. MahalPublishing.com.
Okay.
Spell Mahal?
MAHAL Publishing.com.
Okay, we got a few minutes, so I'm going to get a few calls. Daniel is in Tennessee. Go ahead, Daniel.
What up, Daniel?
What's up, Danny?
Hey, I was wanting to ask about discipline because I had my ex, she had 4 boys, and I really ain't never disciplined them like far as whooping them or nothing like that. I try to sit down and talk to them. But now, my girl, we got a 4-year-old daughter, and I just wasn't ever happy about having to whoop her.
Mm-hmm.
And
Good for you.
It makes me feel bad. But now, it seems like she's kind of rebelling more against me than her mama, because her mama whoop her. And I'm trying to figure out how to get my my thing back, where I can, make sure she's listening to me.
Right.
Okay. Daniel, just for the record, I didn't whip my daughter either. I didn't just, as a man, I didn't feel like it was correct for me to put hands on her because I didn't agree with what she was doing. So I had to find a better way to communicate with her. So I chose words, and my words were quite eloquent. They were probably more disciplinary than any spanking I could have given her. What are your suggestions, E?
Yeah, for me, and I in the book I talk about it. I don't subscribe to spanking either. When I was earlier on in my fatherhood with my older sons, I did, but with my youngest son, I didn't. What I realized also is I've built a bond with them that them disappointing me hurt them more than any physical thing I could do to them. Like, I built such a relationship with them, and, I was such a big fan, and I was such a big supporter of them, that when it came time for them to let me down, and, which was going to happen, obviously, me just sitting down with them and expressing to them how disappointed I was, what they did, why they did it, how it affected me, how their actions are impacting me, that to me was strong enough. And then giving them a discipline, a punishment that matches, whatever, actions that caused it, and then being solid and following through with that. Like, one thing my dad would always do with me was whenever I was on punishment or in trouble, he would always come to me and be like, yo, when you're on punishment, we all on punishment, because I can't hang out with you. I can't do the things that I want to do with you.
Yeah.
And now, now we both,
that's good,
are suffering from it.
I like your dad.
Yeah.
All right. Daniel, thanks for your call. You're a citizen. Get the book. Get the book.
Yes, sir.
Duran, you got a question real quick?
What up, Duran?
Yeah, Sway. Give me grace, Sway. Okay, I have 2 kids. One just finished college, and my daughter's in college here in Florida. And I can't be a part. I want to be a part of their life. I text them, I call them, I help put them through college, but I don't get a text back. I don't get a call back, and it hurts that I can't have a relationship with my kids, and it hurts a lot. And I asked their mom, I said, well, can you help me, with a relationship with them? She said, no, it's not up to me. It's up to y'all. And I just feel like she can do something, but she feel like she don't need to do a doggone thing, and it hurts a lot that I cannot have a relationship with them, and I want one with them so freaking bad, and it hurts. I cry.
I hear that.
And it hurts, man. It fucking hurts.
Listen.
I don't know what to do.
I'm going to tell you what to do, bro. You got to keep going after them. Period. Like, as bad as you want a relationship with them, you have to, there should be no ego. There should be no amount of times that you reach out and communicate. You have to constantly be going after them. My son is a freshman in college right now, and I literally told this dude, yo, every time you call me, I'll sell you $50. I can tell you I haven't sent that kid $1. That's how many times he's called me, and I'm paying the man to call me. You know what I mean?
I'll call you.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, it is that phase. And I remember too, when I first got out of the house, I was a little big for my britches. I was feeling myself, and I had to be, brought back to reality about the importance. Again, my dad called me one day, and he goes, yo, man, I got the results from our DNA test. It turns out that I am your father, so you should call me.
He said that to you?
That was the voicemail he left me one time. So So they're growing up. They're trying to find their way. They need you now more than they ever needed you before, and you being available to them and not causing a rift in your relationship and giving them a guilt trip about not answering the phone. It's way harder to pick up the phone and talk to somebody who just every time you get on the phone with them, they remind you of how many times you don't call them.
Yeah.
So just keep an open mind, keep an open heart, keep an open line of communication, and eventually it'll happen. But you got to go after them. It's not on your wife or the mother of your children. It's not on your children. It's on you.
Deron, man, we appreciate your transparency, brother. And we're in your corner, man. And do me a favor, get this book to all the fathers, Ray in Georgia, Stefan in Phoenix, Scott.
Appreciate it, Sway.
That's
Thank
all
you very
love,
much.
brother. You're a simple citizen, man.
Sway in a moment.
Scott in San Francisco, Kevin in Charlotte, and there's a bunch of people calling. Esteban, how can they reach you on citizens follow this man for so many reasons? Go ahead.
So you can find me. I'm on IG, the Esteban Serrano, and if that's too long,
go slower down.
If that's too long in Puerto Rican, you can find me at the Rap Dads IG, the Rap Dads IG. That's also where I did my podcast. That's a platform. I'll be going live every Wednesday with a different rapper talking strictly about fatherhood.
Oh, bet.
So, starting on next Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
This book is also great for Father's Day, so get it early.
Father's Day.
Come on, man. And once again, you can get this book where?
MahalPublishing.com, MAHAL Publishing.com.
I'm proud of you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
All right, proud of you, man. Real quick, we're going to Denver. Tell them about why we're going to Denver.
Oh, my goodness.
You got to do it quick, though.
Yes. So we're going to Denver to show a very special cut of a documentary film that we're doing about the Black and BIPOC experience in the psychedelic space. A lot of people are unfamiliar with, the magic mushrooms and these things, but these indigenous medicines have properties that can help with depression, PTSD, and things of that nature. And just like marijuana, they're trying to keep us out of it, and they're trying to profit off of it and make it inaccessible for us. But this medicine was kept alive by our people, and we should be a part of this. So, we're going there to spread this message and let the people know that we are the medicine.
That's an ill-ass title, man. Come on, man. I love it. Give it up for Esteban Serrano, man. Thank you for coming through, man.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. Up next, DB had a chance to interview
Mr. Emilio Estevez. He's got a movie called The Way that he did with his father, Martin Sheen, and it's a pretty good story. It came out this week. It was being re-released this week. It came out back in 2011, I believe, and so we sat down and talked about it. Kalani even got in on the interview, got a question in, so that's coming up next.
Okay, and then we're going to play one of your son's songs. What's it called?
It's called Waltz. Cold Court Band. Follow them on Instagram, Cold Court Band. The song is called Waltz.
That's the first time on the radio?
First time.
Cold Court Band, don't forget me. Okay, here it is. Emilio Estevez coming up next, Shade 45.